Cool. Good morning to one and all children. So welcome to the today's class. So today we are going to learn an interesting concept called globalization in the SST chapter as well as in the globalization and Indian economy. So in yesterday's class, a little bit recap. We will do what all things we have learned in the yesterday's class. Yesterday we have learned the introduction, how the different topmost companies are being established in our country. Okay, like Sony, Nokia, as well as if you see the Redmi phones, Vivo phones, Oppo, these are not the Indian companies which are there in our country. These are the foreign companies. So how those products are being launched in the Indian market? So due to the concept of MNCs, that is multinational companies, are being established in our country to launch their product so that the consumers they can consume their products in a very good full way. So it was not a sudden transformation. We will see this transformation only 2 to 3 decades back only. So these MNC companies are playing very important role to improvising the production in the country there. And what are the conditions, what are the factors, based on that how the MNCs are being set up in our country. Based on that you have learnt about a closed market, skilled and unskilled labor, uh, labors in a very low cost, availability of other factors of production. They try to invest the money on these assets only, so that investment we call it as a foreign investment. So these all concept you have learned in the yesterday's class. So in today's class, we are going to learn about the concept of globalization. So what is this globalization then? Why the MNCs are being set up in the different kinds of location? What is the necessity? What are the factors why they are establishing in our country? So in this chapter, you are going to learn that answer. So, in the past 2 to 3 decades, more and more MNC company, multinational companies are looking for certain locations around the world where they will get the cheap for their production. They should invest their small amount of money in that particular country and give a what we will sell good production by using the high graded um, equipments for the production there. So MNC companies they will see, and then across the countries they will set up their industries there. So the foreign investment by the MNCs in these countries has been rising. So at the same time, foreign trade between the countries has been rapidly increasing nowadays. So a large part of foreign trade is controlled by the MNC companies only. So large amount of whatever productions are taking place in the different countries are being controlled by the MNCs companies in that world. So if you take the example car manufacturing plant of Ford Motors in India not only produce the car for the Indian market, it also exports the car to the other developing countries, and they export the car components for many factors around the world. Likewise, the activities most of the MNCs involve subsistent trade in the goods and also the services. So as a result, the greater foreign investment and the greater foreign trade has been greater integration of production and the market across the countries. So by this we will come to know how the countries are being interconnected due to the foreign trade there. So MNCs are playing very major role in the process of globalization. More and more goods and services, investment and technology are moving between the countries. So in this way, um, a lot of new technologies are being introduced, new investors are being attracted towards the country to improvise their production as well as for the development there. More and more goods and services are being launched so that people are getting more and more choices to choose their own brands as well as their own consuming goods. So that is why most of the regions of the world are in a closer and each other than a few decades back. Okay, we will see a close connection between the countries at the present situation due to the foreign trade. So beside the movement of goods and services, investment and technology, there is a one more way in which the countries are being connected. So that is the movement of the people between the countries. So the people will go and settle their life in some other place for the better education, better income, better job, in the search of any other facilities, etc. So the people will move from one place to another place for this reason. So this is also the concept of globalization only. Not only we will do the goods and services exchange, but also the people, if they are getting a better income, better job, or better education facility in that country means, then the people will move from one place to another place to use that concept. So in this way, nowadays all the regions of the countries are having a close contact between the countries there. So, what are the factors? Next, moving further, we are going to understand the concept of what are the factors which is enabled the globalization. The concept of globalization was been implemented. So, according to that one, first one is the technology. So, you will see a rapid improvement. Rapid means a fast improvement in the technology has been a major factor to stimulated the globalization process in the world. You will see day to day, you will see the technology is improvising, whether it belongs to the gadgets or whether it belongs to the computers, email, or whatever informations are being exchanged, yes or no. So we will see a rapid, a faster improvement in the technology. That is the major factor for the globalization. For an example, the past 50 years have a several improvements in the transportation technology. So this has made a much faster delivery of goods across the long distance possible at the lower cost. Okay, for an example, big ships. Okay, in that big ships, through the containers, big containers are being there. So through that containers, a large amount of productions will be circulated in the different parts of the countries within a minute. As well as the ship, at the present situation they are using some modern technology so that they can move faster way and they can reach the goods and services in a very short time. So if you go even more further, we will see a remarkable development in the information and communication technology also. Huh? How, ma'am? So in the recent year, telecommunications, computers, internet has been changing rapidly. Telecommunication facilitate telegraph, telephone, including the mobile phone, fax, are being used to contact one person to another person or one around to another around the world to access the information very quickly. If you take the mobile phone, so you want to search about the concept of globalization. What is the concept of globalization? Why this concept has been introduced? Then you will take the mobile phone, you will on the internet, you will type the concept of globalization and entire information will come within a second wherever you are sitting. And if you are living in India and your relatives are living in some other countries means, through the video calling, through the emails, you are going to chat with them as well as you are having a contact with them there. So in this way you can contact from one person to another person if they are living far away distance. So the technologies in the areas of telecommunication, computers, internet have been changing rapidly. Rapidly means very fastly. We will see lot of changes. So within a minute, you will get all kind of information through the internet, through the computers, to the telecommunication. Think that in the inside the country only, you are living in Karnataka and some other people, your relations are living in some other state like Odisha or Gujarat, and if you want to contact within a minute, you will dial their number and you will contact them and you will chit chat with them. So this is the rapid changes. So these changes through the globalization only. So whatever development in the information and technology are being introduced in the some other country, the government of India as well as the people, those are having the MNCs companies, they have been introduced in that particular country for their communication basis there. So next one, this has been facilitated by the satellite communication device. As you were aware, computers have now entered almost all in the field of activity. You might also have ventured into the amazing world of internet, where you can obtain and share the information almost anything you want to know. Internet also allows us to send the electronic mail, that is email, to talk the voice mail across the world, which is um, with a very low cost. So in this way, the information technology as well as the communication technology has boosted the concept of globalization very rapidly. So at the present situation, information and communication technology has been playing a very important role in the spreading out the production and the service across the country. So what is going on in the world? So through the information technology and communication technology will come to know. Okay, through the newspaper, top most magazines, topmost newspapers are being important to our country, so that you will come to know what is going on at the present situation. So this is the one factor which have enabled the concept of globalization to the world there. Okay, this is one of the factors. So what is the next factor? The liberalization of foreign trade and the foreign investment policy. So let us return the example, the import of Chinese goods to our country. Suppose Indian government put a tax whatever goods are importing to our country. If they put a certain amount of tax means, then what would happen? Those who wish, the companies, those who wish to import their products to our country means, they have to pay certain amount of money, and then their products are being launched in the Indian market. So those who wish to import these toys as well as these goods would have to pay tax on this. Because of tax, the buyers will have to pay a higher price on the Imported toys. Chinese toys will no longer be as cheap in the Indian market, and import of from China will automatically reduced, and Indian toy makers will prosper in that particular country. So this is one of the concept for the you can see the it is one kind of a, hurdle for the development of globalization also. So if the imported goods, if they are coming to our country means, they have to pay certain amount of tax. If the government of India, they will put tax on that goods and services means, immediately we will see decrease in the foreign trade, and we will see the prosperous in the domestic market. So the tax on imports is an example for trade barrier. Barrier means, you all know some of the restrictions. So it is called a barrier because some restrictions are being set up so that the government can use the trade barriers to increase or decrease or to regulate the foreign trade, how much the goods are coming inside to our country and how much they are circulating in the market, so that they will keep an eye on that one. So this trade barrier was been put. So the Indian government after the independence had put the barriers to the foreign trade and the foreign investment. Why means, they wanted to improvise the facilities which are there in our country. Some companies were been there, some factories, industries were been there. They were unable to compete with the international market. So to improvise their condition only, these trade barriers were being put. So afterwards, this was considered necessary to protect the producers within the country from the foreign competition. So industries were just coming up in the year 1950s and 1960s, and the competition from import goods at that stage would not allow these industry to come up. So during that particular period only, some of the industries were been growing. So due to that industries only, the domestic industry inside the country, whatever industries were been there, so they did not show a rapid development during that time. So thus India allowed the import only for essential item. Okay, when these problem were being arised, when the Indian companies only, yeah, they were unfit to produce as well as to compete in the inter foreign competition. What the India did means, India allowed only the import for essential item like machinery, for fertilizer, petroleum, etc. Note that all the developed countries during the early stages of development had given the protection to the domestic producers through a variety of means, because the foundation of industries and the factories in that particular country means they should be developed. Then only the country we will see the lead towards the development there. So the initial stages of development, all the developed countries in the initial stages only, they protected their producers, domestic producers, their own industrialist people, as well as their domestic producers, for by giving the various facilities. So starting around 1991, some far reaching changes in the policies were being made in India. So some changes were made in India. So the government of India decided that the time had come for the Indian producers to compete with the producers around the globe. So when these facilities were being given, when the trade barrier were being put to improvise their condition, so one particular period they decided now it is the time that these domestic producers has to compete with the foreign trade there. So as a result, to improvise the competition and the performance of the producers within the country, since they would have the improve their quality, this decision was supported by the powerful international organization. So the thus trade barriers on foreign trade and the foreign investment were being removed. So by this, by hook or crook, they should compete if they want to survive. If they want to survive by keeping their industries and the factories means, then they should improvise their performance. Then they should improvise their exporting business, importing business. So as a result, they removed the trade barrier during this period there. So this means that the goods could be imported and exported easily, and also foreign companies could set up their factories and the offices here. So removing trade barriers and the restrictions set by the government is known as a concept of liberalization. The concept liberal means free. So to the foreign trade, the government of India after the certain year they removed the trade barriers. So, with the liberalization of trade, business are allowed to make a decision freely about what they wish to import or export. The government imposes much less restriction before whatever restrictions were being put, so that they can interact as well as they can attract the foreign traders to invest their money in their country for the development there. So initial stages they gave the support for domestic traders, but later on due to the development in 1991, the government decided now it is a time. Okay, now our domestic producers are able to compete in the global world as well as in the global market. So slowly, gradually, they started removing the trade barriers. Okay, so that they will compete in the international market there. So this is all about liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. Before that, trade barriers were been there, and afterwards it was been removed. So in the tomorrow's concept, I am going to explain about World Trade Organization and the impact of globalization, and the struggle for fair globalization in the country. So I hope today's class you have understood the two factors which enabled the concept of globalization in the to the market as well as to the Indian economy. So if you are having any kind of doubt, just pin your question in the group so that I will try my level best to sort out your problem. So signing out, have a great day. Bye everyone, be safe and be healthy.